Hello everyone, Ayumilove here, back again with another Awaken Chaos Era video. So, in today's video, I'll be showing you how to start farming the Queen of Tides as an early game player. So let's quickly head over to the Queen of Tides Arcane Dominator dungeon. And as an early game player, I highly recommend you to start farming on stage 8 rather than stage 7 and below. The reason why I recommend you to start on stage 8 is because stage 8 is the starting point where it drops 5-star gears, as you can see here. It's dropping 5-star gears as well as 4-star gear. And apart from that, having 5-star gears right and above, 5-star gear, 6-star gear as well as favored will help you improve your account progression immensely, because you can see a great difference between your hero's damage output as well as their survivability increase. And for stage 7 and below, right, as you can see, they're all dropping non-5-star gears. They are dropping like 4-star gears for stage 6 and 7. Then for stage 5 is 3 to 4 stars. Same goes with the stage 4. Stage 3 is even lower, which is 3 stars. Stage 2 is a mixture of 2 and 3 stars. And stage 1 is only 2 stars. So don't waste your energy resources to farm stages below 8. Alright, and apart from that, there's a prerequisite to start farming on stage 8, which is to have your primary damage dealers to be level 60, because at the early stage game, right, you'll be using direct damage dealers to nuke down the boss. Direct damage will be the fastest and easiest way to perform damage to the boss when you're starting to clear from stage 1 up to stage 8 here. Your primary damage dealers should have all of their glyphs already close to max out, the important glyph. So let me quickly give you an example. So for instance, right, I have like Hitoshi here as my primary damage dealer. He's already level 60, which meets one of the requirements, and the most important thing is to have his glyph to max out the important ones, such as like the critical rate. But this one I did not max out the critical rate because I have already meet the 70% critical rate requirement for Hitoshi. But for other damage dealers, right, you'll need 100% critical rate, and then get the ones that improve their damage output, like attack percentage, plus test attack, additional speed to go before the enemies, and so forth. And the third prerequisite for your damage dealers would be to gear them decently well, to have like 100% critical rate for the damage dealers. But for Hitoshi, it's a special case, it will be 70%. Give them as much attack stats and critical damage, and then some speed to speedrun them to go before the enemies. Once this one is out of the way, so let me show you the team formation that I used to clear the Queen of Tides. For my Queen of Tides team, I'll be using Hitoshi as well as Celine as my primary damage dealers, and supported by Rodira as my primary healer, and you can get her by summoning through the blue crystals. Hitoshi as well as Celine, you can get them through completing the adventure storyline mode. And for Valuk, the guy that looks like the wood guy here, the left hand corner, that one is basically my support damage dealer who can primarily help your primary damage dealers with poison. So basically this team is relying on direct damage as well as poison to quickly take down the Queen of Tides boss as well as the right and left tide guards. And for the spells, I'll be using Sundering Purgatory to apply the defense down on all enemies. And in order to use this well, you need to ensure that your supporter hero who is going first, right, he or she will need sufficient focus to apply the defense down. Otherwise, you're resisted by the enemies. And next, I'll be using Guy's Renewal for supplementary healing on top of Rodira's AoE healing here. Alright, so let's see this team in action. So at the start of the battle, Rodira go first because I speed tuned her to go first, and then followed by either Hitoshi or Celine to do some damage to the enemies. If you're able to build your heroes with 100% critical rate, it will help you to clear the first 2 waves very quickly, because the damage dealt to these enemies will be consistent, rather than having a critical rate on one enemy and another hero without the critical rate. And now we are on the boss. Let me show you the target priority. The boss attack sequence will be to take down the elite on the right, because the elite on the right will be healing the boss, so we do not want them to slow down the run. And then target the left tide guard, and then followed by the boss. The boss mechanic here is she'll be able to place some buff on herself, and upon reaching 3 positive effects or buff, she'll be able to strip away the positive effects from your heroes, like the defense arm, continuous healing, or healing over time, and shield, and so forth. So by defeating these tide guards, right, you'll be able to strip away those positive effects without using any heroes that can strip away those buffs. So this is one of the methods to defeat the boss. The boss will occasionally place a shield on herself to slow down the run, but you can use either poison to remove that, to deplete that shield, or use direct damage, or you can use a specific hero like Valuk to strip away these positive effects. If you're able to manage to defeat these enemies quickly, then you do not need to strip away their positive effects. So for this run, right, it's around about 1 minute and 37 seconds because I have opened and show some pop-up window to show you something. But usually this run, right, will be around about 1 minute and 30 seconds or below. So let me quickly give you an overview of the Queen of Tides skills to fully understand how she works. So by clicking on the magnifying glass, you can check out all of these enemy skills to better understand how they work. It's important to have the knowledge to see how they work in order to take advantage of their weaknesses. So as you can see here, the first ability of this Queen of Tides boss is the Blessing of the Empress. Grants a random blessing of the goddess effect at the end of the turn, can be triggered once every 2 rounds. If this character is buffed at least 3 positive effects upon using an ability, launches a bonus attack with Dragon Bomb, deals damage to 3 random enemies and removes 1 of the positive effect. So in order to counter this ability, right, which strips away your positive effect on your allies, after the boss gains 3 positive effects, you need to use either a hero that can strip away their positive effect, or you can defeat the Tide Guards to remove those positive effects from the boss. So there are 2 options. If you're able to defeat those Tide Guards, the left and right Tide Guards quickly, then you do not need to bring in a hero that can strip away the positive effect. And the next ability would be Torrent. Damages an enemy and applies 1 stack of random blessing of the goddess to this character. So this is one of the methods where the Queen of Tides boss can apply additional positive effect on herself. And the third ability would be the Stifling Aqua Cage. Summons a Stifling Aqua Cage and disables movement on an enemy with the highest attack for 2 turns. Inflicts damage to equal to 15% of the target's max health per turn for the duration of the Stifling Aqua Cage. So basically this skill, right, is stunning your enemies for stunning your ally or one of your hero for 2 turns. And if you do not remove this Stifling Aqua Cage, that particular hero will have 30% of his health reduced. And in order to counter this Stifling Aqua Cage, you can bring in a hero that can remove this or cleanse away this debuff, such as Rodira. She has a cleansing ability on her special ability, or you can also use Joseph to remove that stun ability. The stun debuff from that particular hero. And then for the 4th ability, Water Whip, deals damage to all enemies and grants this character a water shield that scales with max health for 3 turns. So basically this one is the shield that protects her, and it is also considered a positive effect. So if she have 2 random stats up with this water shield, you will then be able to launch the Dragon Bomb to attack 3 of your heroes. And then finally, she also have the Tsunami. Summons a Tsunami to damage all enemies. Damage increased by 15% based on the number of casts. So the more casts she does, then this will increase the damage output. Alright, so that's basically the skills for the Queen of Tides. And the more interesting part would be the right and left Tide Guard. So as you can see, right, the right Tide Guard, he will do single target damage to an enemy. He also has this Water Lance, deals damage to all enemies, which you can counter it using Silence to prevent him from performing AoE attack to all of your heroes. Or you can also use Taunt, like from Charles, prevent him from doing these abilities. And the most important part would be the Restoration. Heals the boss for 30% of max health. So there are multiple ways to counter this Tide Guard. The first and easiest way is to defeat the right Tide Guard. So this will prevent him to heal the boss. The second option is to apply Unhealable to the boss so that this healing will not take place at all. Then for the left Tide Guard, the left Tide Guard is basically increases the damage output dealt to your heroes. So the first 2 abilities are the same, but the third ability is the Joint Attack. Applies Joint Attack to an ally for 2 turns. So each time when the enemy ally perform an attack, they will also Joint Attack. I think using their Water Lance as well. Alright, so that's basically the skills. And for the mob, you do not need to worry about this hermit crab. Basically, this hermit crab is the one that you encounter on the first 2 waves. As long as you're able to wipe them out with a AoE attack, you can speedrun the first 2 waves easily, like using Hitoshi as well as Celine. Alright, so let's quickly go through the stats and gears on how to build these heroes to farm the Queen of Tides. Alright, so the first hero on my team is Rodira. Basically, her role here is to provide AoE healing as well as cleansing. So as you can see here, her ultimate Breath of Revival heals all team members based on the amount of this character's max health, applies defense up to the target for 2 turns. So basically, you want to build her with high amount of health in order to improve her healing capabilities. And then she has this special ability known as the Oasis Embrace, heals the caster as well as removing all negative effects from the ally. Healing scales with this character's max health. So you need to build her with high amount of health. And she's also capable of applying attack down to a single target of enemy. So by having some focus stats on her, you'll then be able to reduce the enemy's damage output. So based from her skills here, you need to prioritize on focus as well as health. And then the other stats that will be helpful for her will be defense stats, so that she'll be able to tank the damage, and some speed, so that she'll go first in the team. So let's check out her overall stats that I built for her. She has around about close to 11,000 health, 930 defense, 160 speed, and 29% focus. Let's go through the gears. So currently I'm gearing her with a double Terra set that provides a total of 30% health and 1 Raider set for additional 15 speed. So let's quickly go through the gears to see what are the stats that I have for her. So this is the weapon with some critical rate, speed, focus, and resistance. So as I mentioned earlier, right, you'll need to focus 4 stats on Rodira. It's basically HP, which is health, defense, speed, and focus. So the other substats that you see here is not useful for her. But for like late game, right, resistance will be useful for her in like Void Tower hard or Void Tower common, depending on the other situation. But for now, for this early game progression for farming dungeons, let's focus on these 4 stats. And this is the helmet, the Terra helmet with some focus. For agility, it's not really useful because agility is mainly used for like arena to dodge the attack. But this will also help sometime to reduce the damage intake from water enemies, because water enemies are weaker to Rodira, who is a wood affinity hero. So this will also allow her to dodge some of the attacks. And this one also has a defense percentage. And for the armor, it has a double roll and critical damage, which is not useful for her because she's not a damage dealer. There's some health, defense, and flat stats health. This is the primary health boots with some defense percentage. Critical rate is not useful for her because she doesn't deal damage. And then we have the health ring, and then attack necklace. Basically, I get this attack necklace. It's not for his attack, but in order to speed tune her to go first in the team. Because having this Raider set, right, it allows her to go, to provide her with additional 15 speed. So ideally, right, this one should be a health percentage or defense percentage to boost up her survivability in the dungeon. And I got this set for her because for the additional speed as well as for the focus stats to apply the attack down. And for her glyphs, it's not maxed out yet, but once she's maxed out, she'll be able to improve her survivability with this additional health and defense, and some resistance as well as a health percentage here. So it's still an ongoing process in order to improve her, to get her to level 5 glyph. And currently I've already maxed out her glyphs, maxed out her ability. And let's check out Rodira's mastery. So currently I do not have any mastery books invested in her because elite mastery books are quite scarce and you can only get them by completing the maybe events or Dragon Cup Rally tournaments. So if you have sufficient or a lot elite mastery books, I will highly recommend you to use them on your damage dealer first. And then with the surplus of elite mastery books, then you can only use on these supporter heroes to boost up their health, their defense stats, and also giving her an all-round to improve the hero's defense, right, by 3% and by 5% here. For this gear mastery, it will be also useful to improve her primary stats on her health I mean on her boots, necklace and ring. So all of these are quite good for supporter heroes. The ones that is not good will be the like attack up because she's not a damage dealer. And the one that can, I think only this one that attacks the attack boost. Alright, so currently I have her ascended to 5 ascension. And the most important one is to get her to 2nd ascension to get additional 10% more max health. So if you did not ascend her, what this will do is she only benefit from 10% max health. So try to get multiple copies of her and ascend her to gain additional 10% more max health for a total of 20% max health. And if you're able to get her to level 60, then you'll be able to also benefit from additional 5% defense as well as 5% health. So for this stage 8 Queen of Tides, right, level 50 will be sufficient. However, if you want to progress further in the Queen of Tides like stage 11 and 12, you need to level her up to like level 60 in order to tank the damage as well as for her to improve her healing, because the more levels she has, right, this will also improve her attack, health and defense stats. So more health means more healing that she can apply to her allies. Alright, so that's all about Rodira. Let's move on to the second hero on the team, who is Celine. Alright, so this is my second elite hero on my team, who is Celine. She's basically my primary damage dealer for the Queen of Tides, and she can also be used to farm other dungeons as well. So don't sleep on her. So basically, here are her overall stats. As a damage dealer, focus on getting her to 100% critical rate so that she'll be able to deal critical damage consistently. And then focus on her attack stats as well as critical damage. And speed tune her depending on where you use her. So for now, I'm currently having her at 147 speed. Then you can have, and if your gears are good, then you can get some health and defense percentage. She has 4% focus, but it will be good to have some focus on her because she is also capable of applying freeze on the enemy. So if you do a quick overview of her skills, her Snowstorm ultimate ability is basically an AoE attack. Then her special ability is the one that can freeze. So if you can build her with some focus stats, that will be an additional bonus, because by freezing the enemies, right, it will take less one turn to attack your heroes. Then she's also capable of applying attack up on herself and also producing a shield that can protect her from damage. Alright, so let's quickly go through the gears. I'm currently using 2 rage set that provides a total of 24% critical rate to achieve the 100% critical rate. Now let's go through the gears. This is the weapon, some health, critical rate and critical damage. Ideally, this flat stats health should be like attack percentage. Next, we have the helmet with some critical rate, health percentage, critical damage and focus. This one is really good for Celine because having health percentage will be beneficial for her to generate a larger shield on herself every turn. And then this is the rich armor that provides critical rate, double flat stats health and attack percentage. Ideally, this one should be critical damage at attack percentage or health percentage here. So this armor, right, I got them by completing the adventure storyline, and some of them, like the green ones, I obtained them from farming the Roaring Tupa or the adventure of when you're farming the adventure mythic or adventure heart. So some of them I obtained it from there. Next is the speed boots. This one is not that great stats. It has a flat defense percentage, flat stats attack, resistance and critical damage. Ideally, it should have the 4 main stats, which are attack percentage, critical rate, critical damage and speed. So all of this is not really good, but this is my placeholder item that I can use for now. So there are some room of improvement to improve your damage dealer. Okay, so next will be the critical rate ring. This one I've obtained it from completing the adventure storyline. This one has some double roll on speed, resistance, some defense attack percentage, and finally we have the attack necklace that you can obtain it by completing some of the quests in the Path of Growth. So this one is really good. It has a critical rate, double speed roll, plus defense and health. The glyphs are all maxed out, same goes with her abilities. Let's go on to the mastery for Celine. So I have invested around about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mastery books for elite mastery books here. These elite mastery books I've obtained it by completing the Dragon Cup rally for the beginner adventure, as well as some of the events that were going on in the past. And I highly recommend you to book your elite hero first, because this will allow her to deal more damage. So all of these masteries are quite useful for her. As you can see, the ability mastery enhances her skills, as well as providing additional critical rate to achieve the 100% critical rate. Then for gear, you boost up the primary stats for the feet, neck, hands, weapon hit, and chest. And for physic, this one is also quite good for like the critical damage, and health and defense will give her additional survivability for surviving the void tower common. And for the rest, they are basically like additional survivability as well as the damage output. So you can invest these mastery books on her in early game. And currently I've already ascended her to 2nd ascension in order to reduce the cooldown of her bubble trait from 2 turns to 1 turn, which means she can produce her shield every turn. So as you can see here, bubble trait grants shield for 1 turn at the end of the turn. Ability may trigger once per 2 turns. Grants a shield. So upon ascending her, then grants shield for 1 turn at the end of the turn. Ability may trigger once per 1 turn. So every turn she will have the shield. Alright, so that's basically Celine build. Let's move on to the 3rd hero in the team, who is Hitoshi. Alright, so this is Hitoshi with some flashy ninja animation, similar to like the new 3 heroes that were introduced in the game from the Attack on the Titan collaboration event. So for Hitoshi, right, he's my primary damage dealer to take down the enemies for early game progression, and you can also use him to farm dungeons. So his build will be something similar to Celine, but with a unique twist where his critical rate will be 70% and not 100%. The reason why he's built in such a way is because he has a unique trait, the Art of Ninjutsu, that provides him with a 30% critical rate. And this one is not reflected in the overview stats here, so do take note in mind that you just need to build him with 70%, at most 70% critical rate for him, so that he can always land his critical damage. Alright, so for his build, right, I have around about 2800 attack stats, 70% critical rate, 226% critical damage, and 147 speed. And the rest are bonus, like health is 10,000, defense 928, and he has a decent amount of focus, like 42.5% focus. But this one is unnecessary because he does not apply any debuff from his skills. However, if there are some cases where you're using him in the Void Tower and he's the only person or the sole survivor in the team, and you have Sundering Purgatory spell, then this will be a benefit for him to apply and inflict the AoE defense down on the enemies. Alright, so let's check out, let's do a quick check on his skills. So basically his ultimate Little Dart is the one that deals AoE damage, and he will also launches a bonus attack with his special ability if the target is killed. So this is the one that allows you to speed farm the EXP Jelly Madness, and also clear the first 2 waves of the enemies quickly, especially on the Queen of Tides, the first 2 mobs. And with the help of his Art of Ninjutsu, it will help him to reset his ultimate ability cooldown if he performs an enemy kill here. And his special ability, known as the Crimson Slash, basically this one deals additional damage if this hero performs a critical strike. So it's highly imperative that you need to build him with high amount of critical rate. So let's quickly go through his gears. So currently I'm gearing him in a average set, which is a 4-piece set that grants this character 50% bonus damage when attacking over an area. So basically this one is referring to his ultimate ability that deals AoE attack. And this one can only be triggered once per round, 1 round. And then he's also have a rage set that provides him with a 12% critical rate. Okay, so let's go through the equipments here. So the first one will be the weapon with some critical damage and attack. This one is the helmet with some precision, attack, critical damage, and critical rate. This helmet is obtained through the Path of Growth quest, so do remember to complete them to get this free 6-star legendary gear, because it's quite difficult to get these good gears by farming like stage 12 and above. So this will help you to kickstart your farming progression during the early game. And then we have the armor with quadruple focus. I was quite lucky to get quadruple focus, but focus is not an important stat for damage delay for him. So basically this set, right, will be useful for Celine, because Celine applies freeze, and this will be much more useful for her. So if I get better gears, then I will move these gears to Celine and get Hitoshi better gear here. And this is the speed boots with some triple roll on Flaster's health, critical damage, and some critical rate. Ideally, these rolls should be falling under like attack percentage, critical damage, or critical rate. This one is really a bad roll, so I'll be replacing this equipment soon with a better substats. And then this is a critical rate ring with some 30% critical rate. This one has some speed, attack, and focus. And finally, we have the attack necklace with some critical rate, critical damage, and flat defense. His glyphs are almost maxed out. The ones that I've left out will be the critical rate, because I already reached the minimum critical rate requirement, which is the 70% critical rate. And then this one will be the blast glyph that provides him with additional resistance, which is not useful for him. But the health plus 2% will be quite useful to give some added survivability. But this one is not really important for now. The most important glyph for Hitoshi will be the attack stats. And the Wild Blood that provides 100 attack, and the Titan that applies the 2% attack. Speed will be crucial for him, because as you go up in the Queen of Tides stages, the Queen of Tides will be much more faster, so having more speed will be beneficial. And his skills are all maxed out. Let's quickly go through the masteries. So for his mastery books, I've invested around about 4 epic mastery books, and these mastery books can be obtained from the rookie event, where you have like several days to complete it. The next one will be from the Path of Growth quest, and you can also get it from the Dragon Cup Rally tournament. So the most important mastery for Hitoshi will be to get the critical damage, to improve his damage output, max out the gear, as well as his abilities. For the rest of this one, it's not really important for him, but this one basically gives him additional survivability, which is not really important for now as an early game player. You want to focus mainly on the attack stats to improve his damage output. And that's basically it for Hitoshi. Let's move on to the last and the final hero in the team, who is Valuk. Alright, so this is the 4th and final hero on my team, who is Valuk. Basically, he's an elite hero similar to Celine, and he does not really do much damage, but he does damage through poison debuff. And poison debuff deals damage based on the enemy's max health. So at the early stages of the dungeon, right, these enemies will not have much health, but as you progress into the higher difficulty, the enemy's health will keep on increasing, and the poison debuff, right, will deal damage based on the health, and this will be a consistent damage throughout the battle. So you do not really need to build Valuk with high amount of attack stats, critical rate, or critical damage. You just need him to consistently apply the poison, and in order to achieve that, you need to build him with high amount of focus stats. So he can apply poison through his corrupting whack from his basic ability, but it's a 50% chance. And then he's also capable of applying poison through his passive ability whenever the enemies attack his allies or him. So this is one of the good things about Valuk. And you can farm Valuk from the Adventure Chapter 8. So let me quickly show you where to farm him. So I'm currently on the hard difficulty, and you can farm him in either of these stages in Chapter 8. So as you can see here, I'm now on Chapter 8.8, and this one drops a Valuk here. And it's not necessary to farm on hard mode. You can also farm him in the mythic mode as well. If you already reached there, then you can farm him instead. So the higher difficulty you go up, you have a higher chances to get a Valuk. Alright, so let's go back to Valuk here. So the stats to prioritize on him will be health, defense, speed, health, defense, and focus stats. Let's make him as tanky as possible and provide him with sufficient focus to apply the poison. He you do not need to give him any speed because he can apply poison whenever the enemies attack his allies. So that's basically his overall stats. Let's move on to his gears. So currently I'm gearing him in a Terra set as well as a Raptor set. So Terra set provides 50% health and Raptor set provide an additional 20% focus. So let's quickly go through the equipment stats here, so starting with the weapon. This one provides flat stats health, precision, focus and speed. Precision is not useful for him because it's mainly an arena stat to prevent the enemies from dodging. And this is the Raptor Crown. Basically, this one provides health percentage, focus, critical rate and precision. Ideally, critical rate and precision is not useful for him. This one should be like defense percentage or resistance or anything that helps him improve his survivability. Next would be the cape that provides a defense percentage, focus. This one is a health boost. You do not need to gear him in a speed boost because he's pretty slow. His base speed is really slow. And then this is a defense string. You can equip him with either health or defense string. And finally, this is flat stats health. Currently, this is the only item I have, and I will replace it with a health percentage or a defense percentage pyramid necklace. These glyphs are almost maxed out to reach glyph level 5, and currently I only have this one remaining that I need to finish off. His abilities are all maxed out. Let's quickly go through the masteries here. So the masteries for Valuk, I think you do not need any mastery books on him, but if you have surplus of elite mastery books, you can get the physique to provide him with an additional 30% focus, 30% health and defense. And the rest does not matter. For the gear, everything is also quite good. Same goes with the abilities. But the abilities one, right, is not so relevant because this one provides a 50% and 25% chance of performing true strike rate in PvP mode. PvP mode is basically the arena, like the single arena, 3 versus 3 arena and real-time arena. So this one allows him to deal true damage, which does not help in PvE content like farming dungeons. So ideally you can invest 1 or 2 mastery books to get the 30% focus, health and defense, as well as the gear. But it's not necessary, but it will help you to boost up his stats. Yeah, so that's basically it for Valuk. Currently I have him in 6 ascension, but the most important one is to get the second ascension here to allow him to have a 100% chance to counter attack with the accuracy down. So if you do not have any ascension on him, that means you have only a 50% or half the chance to perform the counter attack. Accuracy down is basically allows is inflicted on the enemies whenever they attack him, and accuracy down will prevent them from hitting your heroes, which means this will give them more survivability in the long run. Alright, so let's do a quick recap on the hero builds that I have here, starting with Rodira. Basically, you need to prioritize on her 4 main stats, which are health, defense, speed, and focus. Health is to improve her healing capabilities, focus is to apply the attack down, speed is to speed tune her to go first in a battle to apply the attack down or Sundering Purgatory, as well as to cleanse away the stun debuff that is placed by the enemy on your highest attacker hero, like Celine or Hitoshi here. The next 2 damage dealers here, who are my primary damage dealers, who are Celine and Hitoshi, the main stats that you need to prioritize on them will be the attack stats, critical rate, and critical damage, but focus on getting the 100% critical rate for your damage dealers. For Hitoshi, he just needs 70% because he gains the additional 30% critical rate from his trait. Only then focus on the speed, to speed tune them to go before the enemies. And if you have some good stats lying around, then get them to have more health percentage as well as some defense percentage. And finally, we have Valuk here. He's my supported damage dealer. Since he does not deal much damage through his attack stats, ideally you want to build him with more focus stats to consistently apply the poison from being resisted by the enemies. And then focus is survivability by having more health and defense stats. Here are the battle results of these 10 multi-battle runs. As you notice here, the total duration for these 10 multi-battles is around about 15 minutes, and the average battle duration is around about 1 minute and 30 seconds. So as you can see here, I have obtained several gears like 5-star gears which have elite and epic rarity. Same goes with the 4 stars that has legendary, epic as well as elite. So in order to progress quickly, you do not need to keep any 4-star gears, but there's an exception where if 4-star gears have really substantial good substats, then you can keep them. Otherwise, just remove them from your inventory to avoid cluttering your bag. And then I've also obtained some gear enhancement, which is quite useful to upgrade your gears. So that's the end of my video covering on how to speed farm the Queen of Tides as an early game player. If you do have any questions, you can leave them in the comments section below of this video. And if you found this video helpful, do give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, you can also click the subscribe button as well as ringing the notification bell to stay up to date whenever I upload a new video on this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!